Are we recording?
Yep, we're recording.
Let me stop the share. Yeah, okay, sweet. Okay, well, welcome one and all. We're super happy to have you here. We were in Vegas last week, which prompted us to not be able to do a webinar because we tried to get on and the service, the Wi-Fi was terrible, even though we had sprung for some high speed, which turned out to be not very high or speedy. And then we recorded an entire video for you guys, like really excited about it for about 45 minutes. And Elon's SD card in his phone just conked out. The video went on the fritz, and we could not make time the rest of the week to make any more content for you guys. So we were going to share that. Went to anyway. It was just one.
It was really good too.
Yeah. So we're here today. We're going to deliver that content to you guys, and ultimately, today's webinar will get you off of here probably by like 6:10 at the latest, I think. We'll get it short down. You guys are free to ask any questions, interact with us. If you have a direct question and you're feeling great, you can come out here. We'll bring you on camera. You can look into our virtual eyeballs and ask us questions. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the nuances and grave distinctions between attachment and commitment. And this might seem really minute, but it's often undiscovered. Most people don't inquire about this, and they don't realize, or they're not doing much about how attached they are to the things in their life and to what they're creating and to the outcomes that they want. And it creates pain in their life, and it doesn't give them access to action that would make a significant result or a significant difference.
Bro, one second.
Please.
Can you just make sure that when you are recording, you are in gallery view? I'm sorry, in speaker view?
Would it record that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Then it just switches, and then it's just one big screen.
I never knew that.
Yeah, because then every time I have to stretch the recording, and it looks funny. So.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So cool. So we're going to be talking about that. If you don't know who we are, which you might not, my name is Guy Ferdman. I'm in a tank because it is miserably hot in San Diego. Elon is in a jacket because it's starting to get miserably cold. In New York, we're about a 50-degree variance between the two of us.
So you can tell who the smarter one is.
Yeah, I rarely put on air conditioning in San Diego because our weather is so good. I mean, like, maybe 5-7 days out of the entire year, and the last 3 days the AC's been running like nonstop. So it is hot. I mean, like 100 degrees hot, and it's like desert heat. Santa Ana's like dirty air, the whole thing. Elon is back in New York. We were just in Vegas at a 3-day conference for entrepreneurs, marketers, delivering both in marketing, business development, and a lot of personal development stuff. Personally, we just love training and teaching. It's a huge passion of ours, specifically, though, about personal development. If you don't know about our company, we are SatoriPrime.com. You can see behind Elon's head there. Although right now we're going through a full rebrand, and they're trying to get us to change our logo. Don't know how I feel about it so far, but I'm trying not to be too attached to that either, and just see what we can create. So, if you guys have any questions about us, about the event that we're putting on in November, all these trainings, this is session number 9, although typically it's actually 8, I would say, because we sort of skipped and I misnumbered it. But this is session number 8 then of a series of personal development trainings that we've done that are all leading up to an event that we're hosting in San Diego on November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So if you are up to it, we would love to invite you there, and we'll talk more about that at the end of this webinar and give you some information on where you can find more information about that. And we also host group online coaching and all this kind of wonderful stuff, and this is really our true life's purpose. Elon and I have been in personal development work for combined nearly 30 years now. We have coached thousands of people in online marketing, business development. We've consulted. And again, our passion is really in personal development training. And I feel like that word gets thrown around a lot. Life coaching gets thrown around a lot. And I would say we're actually like, people always ask me, like, what's my coaching? And a lot of people niche down, they do like relationship coaching or like women's empowerment or like, health conscious coaching, whatever it might be. Elon and I are really expansive. We've really done work and just about anything you can imagine, from neuroscience, NLP, to deep meditation, and honestly, even plant medicine ceremonies and all sorts of different things that have really given us access to a very wide array of experiences that we use inside of our coaching. So we are about you having a life where you have access to having it all. And that's why this is called the Have It All series, Have It All Academy. All our stuff is really turning into Have It All. And whatever that means to you, whether that's having your health at the optimal level, your business running at optimal level, your relationships, not relationships, but some people have relationships too, relationships running at an optimal level, or all three, we believe that you can live at a 10 at every level.
Yeah. And
that's what these conversations are all about. So again, if you have any questions, for those of you guys just popping in, please feel free to ask them. Bro, anything you want to add?
Generally, I would say that I bring a lot more humor and energy that I'm able to bring today. And if you want to check that, you could obviously check the replays on the website. But yeah, it's been a rough little day, and I'm gonna try to bring it as best I can, and we'll go from there.
See what I'm doing here? You just
say it again. Do some jumping jacks.
Do some jumping jacks. Get yourself all pumped up with it.
Man, I got to tell you, the go-karting kicked my ass. Yeah. Ribs, all that stuff. Yeah. All
right, cool. So do you want me to get cracking? You want to take
Yeah. Start, and then I'll jump in. I'll take some notes.
Okay, cool. So let's just start with creating distinctions. Again, for those of you guys who had just come in, I think I saw Sandra come in. And
Sandra, I saw come in, yeah.
Somebody else come in. Again, we're going to be talking about the distinction between attachment and commitment. And this is a really, really, really powerful thing to raise your observational power around, okay? So let's start with attachment, because mostly people really actually don't operate inside of the world of commitment. So I also want you to know that this is not like truth saying. Elon and I are not truth sayers, right? What we've discovered and learned over the years is to inquire about different things and specifically look at where in conversation, where in language are we using such language that there's an overlap in distinctions, and you actually have a breakdown and you're creating two models as if they're one, okay? And this happens a lot in conversation. Responsibility and blame get overlapped all the time. So that's like an example too, and we've done a training on that. But attachment and commitment are an important one too, because people often feel like what they're actually attached to, they actually feel like they're committed to, but that's because these things are in two different worlds that are undistinguished to them, okay? So let's look at an attachment. When you create something that you want in life, I assert that you create an attachment along with it. What attachments, another way of saying an attachment is you set an expectation, okay? We do this very seamlessly. It doesn't take a lot of effort on your part. Sometimes you're aware of the expectations you create, but mostly they happen quite unconsciously. Now, anytime that you yourself create an expectation, right? I want you to look at your own life, and I want you to validate the things that I'm saying through your own personal experience. Don't take my word for it. But when you set an expectation, whether it's something that you want to achieve in business, in a relationship that may not be functioning, in your own personal health, maybe it's you want to lose weight, or maybe you just want to get fit, or maybe you want to run a triathlon, whatever it might be to you, you start setting these kind of like subconscious expectations. And then in some certain timeline, whether it's in the near term, midterm, short term, midterm, or long term, you will find that life will probably not match that expectation, right? Your expectation will have seemed to be above that. And in that moment, it creates an upset in your life. And this is the kind of cycle that we see many people get into all the time. They have these false expectations of life. And then again, life doesn't match what they think they're supposed to have, what they should have, what they want to have, what they could have, all these different things. And it leads to an upset. Can you guys relate to what I'm talking about?
Who's been upset before?
Anybody know what I'm talking about? Awesome. Got it. Got it. Right? So, and this is pretty typical, right? It's like every day you wake up, life doesn't match what you think that it's supposed to look like. You get to work, your boss isn't who they're supposed to be. You come home, your husband, your wife, don't say the things that you want them to say. Everything causes these little upsets, and we seem to just react. And it just creates this kind of spiral, right, of negativity. Then we go to bed at night feeling unfulfilled, right? You guys know yeah. Sandra says, yep, she's pretty upset right now. So, so you know
exactly to the right place.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So now I want to distinguish this other world for you, okay? And inside of the world of commitment, it's a really kind of different essence to it. So I want you to just like feel when you say like, what is it that I'm committed to? And it's distinct from attachment. What might that look like? So I'll give you like a big game that Elon and I play as an example, right? One of the things that we've learned over the years, that part of the design of being human is that we inherently create problems, right? So you can actually say the attachments and them not being met are actually creating problems for you. And that's, again, very natural, right? It's not like you're choosing the problem. There just seems to be like a problem there. And whatever context you live your life through, we could say that a design of humanity or the design of a human is to inherently have problems. Now, most people spend most of their lives trying to overcome, defeat, control, manipulate away from their problems, right? Like, all right, if I just solve this, everything will be good. Then it's like, okay, well, it seems to be solved. And then it's like, what's there? Just the next problem, right? All right, well, let's handle this one. And just the next problem. So it's like, if you're not making enough money, it's a problem for you, right? Or for somebody else, by the way, who's not making, or might be making the same amount of money, there might be no issue for them. So it's just something to consider right there. But whatever context you live inside of in life, that context, that view of the world has inherent problems. If you're not making enough money and that's a problem for you, you probably have it that if you just made a certain number, you would stop having these problems. And there might be some truth to that, except for the moment you got there, that amount of money in the bank would have its own inherent problems, or that view of life would create its own problems. So we could say that solving problems is actually kind of like a meaningless task, because there's always going to be more problems. Again, I assert that it's just part of the design of being human is we actually create problems. And there's a function to problems, right? Like a problem naturally pulls you in a direction that has you take specific actions in life. Could we agree on that? I know there's always a gap between me asking a question, people knowing whether I'm asking them a question, them answering the question. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if that's the case, one of the things that we can do, and this is what we're always looking for, Elon and I are always studying phenomenology. And there's all these phenomenons at work as a human being that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And these are like universal things that we all deal with. One of the things is problems, right? So if we're letting life choose our problems for me, we can use this phenomenon of problems, and instead of the problem hitting you, you can actually be at the source and choice of creating the problem that you would actually like to work on. Again, a problem is going to naturally call you to be a certain way and act a certain way in a specific context. That's what we're all doing. We have a context that we act in accordance with it, we be in accordance with it. So one of the things, I'll give you an example that we've done, is we've committed ourselves to creating transformation for 100 million people around the planet. Now that's a pretty big game, would you guys agree? Right? So if I was attached to 100 million people's transformation every single day, I would have some expectation that that's the way the world's supposed to be. Every morning when I would wake up, that expectation is not fulfilled, wouldn't I be in an upset? Right? And I could tell you, I rarely, if ever, wake up in an upset. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I don't have problems. I'm not saying that I'm not human and deal with emotions and all these different things. I'm not saying that. You know, but if I was attached to the transformation of the planet or 100 million people, whatever my game is, I would wake up every morning and I would be upset, because that is clearly not the way the world is, right? Now, if I'm committed, I have this big problem that I want to work on, that I'm willing to give my life over to, and I'm committed to this problem, whether or not that commitment arises in reality right now, doesn't change my commitment one iota. I don't have to have any upset about it at all. I just get up in the morning and I'm excited to work on it, connect with people, and create programs, create programs, communicate with people, all those things in a manner in which makes a difference. In fact, this webinar right here is a self-expression of that commitment. You know, I'm naturally called to be on here. Elon, with the kids and all those things happening in his life, and, you know, all the other things that happen today, he's tired. For a lot of people, being tired is enough of an excuse not to show up.
Yep.
Right? But his commitment is so big in service of other people, regardless of how he feels or what's happening in his personal life, he's committed to helping you transform your life, change your conversation, increase the health of your relationships, increase how much wealth you have in your life, whatever it is that's important to you, right? And he just shows up. He's naturally called to be there. It's not like I have to call Elon and he's like, yeah, I'm really tired. I'm just not going to show up. Can you do it for me? It's just not how we operate. And again, we're called to action by these commitments. So, bro, anything you want to share about this also?
Yeah, I just want to kind of give them some real world examples that make it really, really easy sometimes to understand these kind of bigger distinctions. So one that people really get pretty easily is love life. So I don't know if you're married or if you were looking for the one or whatever it is, but a lot of people, when they're going through that process, are attached to having a relationship with that person. So they see this friend of theirs or someone that they dated or whatever, and they're just attached to it being Sarah or attached to it being John or whoever it is. And then you go about your day and you're just like, oh my God, I found the one. He's so it. Da, da, da. You get so excited. And then all you want is the relationship of your dreams with John. And the relationship of your dreams, the commitment to have the relationship of your dreams goes out the window because now you've attached that commitment to John. Now, in doing that, what tends to happen is that you become this needy, obsessive, weird version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's like if you've ever been in a city where they have horses, that horse with blinders, like walking through the street, that's how you basically become. And the second you do this, the second you've taken your commitment and attached it to this one person or this one experience or this one outcome, for example, like in business, when we started, this would happen all the time. Like, okay, I'm going to show you guys something here.
And then, by the way, while Leon's about to do that, Sandra, for you and for anybody else on here, I'm sure there's something that you may be upset in life. I mean, I'm asserting, I don't know if that's true. I want you to just kind of like in the back of your mind, like think to yourself, like, what is it I'm upset about right now? And I want you to start applying this to it, right? Like look at, okay, what am I attached to in this circumstance? And then I want to ask you guys what's going on for you.
Yeah. So this award, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of clear, whatever.
Yeah, kind of see it. Yep.
But this thing, Guy and I started a business a while back, committed to having success in the business. And then that little plastic or whatever it's made out of star, we attached the success of our business to that thing. Do you remember?
Yep.
We took crazy pictures and we're like, that's it. We're on stage. We got an award. We're going to make $50,000. And guess what? When it didn't happen, we were disappointed. We were quite upset. But in that moment where we got upset, we thought, hey, why are we upset right now? And we got that we stopped being committed to building a company that transformed people's lives and got attached to what this stupid piece of plastic will do for ourselves. Okay? And then all we did was we realized, hey, we just attached this thing to this. What are we committed to? And boom, we're off and running. Now, when people are either in dating situations or building something or map this onto anything in your life, the second you do that, the second the picture goes from the big, like this is my big vision, my big why to whatever, to I have to have it with this person or with this company or with this experience, you've missed the boat. You've put on these blinders. And what's even worse is that you forget that you put on these blinders. And it's that point in your life where you start manipulating and you start trying to force outcomes and you do all sorts of weird shit that never ends up working and makes you upset in the process. And what I want you guys to realize is that as this happens, as you become singularly focused on the thing that you are attached to, you have in that moment killed off any possibility, and I mean any possibility of a new opportunity. So go back to the dating experience, right? So if it's John's gonna be the man of my dreams. We're gonna get married. Um, then pretty much what you're doing is you're like walking through your life. You're like, John, 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 John. Now, all these other amazing potential suitors are constantly around you, but you are so blind and so attached that you absolutely miss all of these opportunities that the universe or God or whatever you want to call it is constantly trying to throw your way. Go ahead.
So this is one of my favorite analogies around this is called child gardener disease. Okay, so we're like child gardeners. We go out, into the front yard or the garden, whatever. We plant our seeds. We dig the hole. We put the seed in there. Put the fertile soil on top. Maybe put some fertilizer on top, et cetera, et cetera. Water it, and like excited little children, we just expect things to just be there right away. So what does a child do? Child wakes up the next morning, expects to see the fruit of his or her labors, goes outside, sees nothing, just more dirt. So it's getting really upset about that. Where's this thing that I planted? Total attachment to the result from the action that was taken. Goes into the garage, gets the shovel again, starts digging around, ends up finding a seed, pulls the seed out and starts inspecting it, and has killed any possibility of that seed actually growing in the process, right? And this is how we operate. So here are some clues to define what it is that you might be attached to. Attachments live in the world, in like the conversational world of shoulds. It should be some way. He should be some way. She should be some way. My body should be some way. My relationship should be some way. It also lives in the worlds of coulds and woulds, right? So like it should have, it could have, it would have been that way. Great indicators that if you're using that kind of language or you're saying that to yourself, guess what? You're attached to something, right? And that attachment, again, is setting expectation. Now, how often does life, do you think, actually match our expectation? And while you're pondering that,
all the time.
Oh, it's like every second, right? It always
all the time.
Exactly the way that we think that it should. Now, I want you to imagine, right? We live in a universe of literally infinite possibility. Like everything that could happen is happening, will happen. Like if you know anything about singularity, it supposedly is happening all at one time, all the time. So the way that we operate, it's like, imagine if you wanted to win the lottery. Like that's the possibility you're committed to, okay? If you know the ratios in the United States about winning the lottery, pretty unlikely. It's like 1 out of like 250 million people wins the lottery. So the way that we normally operate is like a lottery winner. We think that if we go down to our local 7-Eleven, we're going to put these 5 numbers down, and it's like we just know we're going to win. Like that's the level of attachment that most of us are dealing with. Now you think with your small little peon brain that cannot even conceive infinity or infinite possibility, that you could possibly imagine how you're going to win that lottery ticket, or if you're going to win that lottery ticket. Now, how many of us, by the way, approach our business that way? All right, we just know it's supposed to look like that. How many of us approach our most loving relationships that way? We just know they're supposed to be that way, and if they're not that way, something must be wrong, right? How many of us know that our health should be perfect, or you should just be able to go to the gym once a week and get a 6-pack, or once a month to get a 6-pack? This is how we operate, and it's a little bit inside the world of insanity. But when you don't spend time inquiring about what it is that you're attached to, right, things start popping. So Sandra said she had a little light bulb moment. So she says, I think I was attached to what I expected as a code of confidence, privacy, and integrity. I was attached to my expectation, feeling lighter now. Awesome, right? And this is what distinction can do, because the moment you distinguish an attachment, what you're closer to is reality. When you're attached to something, you're just you're stuck in your head. So when an expectation is not met, the first thing most of us do is we try to figure out what's wrong, right? If somebody uses the word figure out, I know that they're immediately starting to think about things, about how to solve the problem. Now, something I know about thinking is that analysis causes paralysis. Many of us do this all the time. The design of thinking, just so you guys know, a way to look at the thinking, and most of you guys have not even inquired as to what is the design of actual thinking. Thinking is just a recall function, right? all it does is just recall past and mull it over and over again. There's really no new information in there. For those of you guys that have trouble sleeping at night, you know this phenomenon really well. You'll put your head on the pillow, and then it's like the day's events, right? Like over and over again. Or like something happened 10 years ago. Or that thing that they said to you 20 years ago. Or that time you just didn't get it right. Or, oh, that opportunity, if it just would have gone that way. You know, right? Plays over and over again. That stuff keeps you up at night. Then you wake up with it. And then you have thoughts about that. Now you're thinking about your thinking. And then you're wondering why you can't ever get to anything new because there's nothing new in there. It's just recalling the past over and over again. Possibility doesn't live inside of thinking. It just does not. Possibility actually occurs in communication and action. So if you're stuck in attachment, again, I want you to align that with, well, now I'm spending time thinking about it, try to solve it. And there's really not a lot of solutions in there for you. In fact, I would assert there aren't any. And there are functions to thinking, but it's great to inquire about what the limitations of thinking actually is for you. Okay? Or anything you want to add about any of this?
No, I thought that was really good. I like the possibility thing.
Okay. So for those of you guys on here, I just want to check in. As far as attachments are concerned, can you see an area of life right now that you're dealing with that you feel disempowered in, whether it's a relationship, your health, your business, whatever, what have you, that you're currently dealing with some sort of attachment, and do you have clarity about what that attachment is? And please, if you feel like you want to share about what that is, we would love to hear it. Well, hear about it, I should say.
Oh.
So this could be, again, in the realm of should, it could be, it would be some other way if, right?
Yeah, and just while you guys are doing that, to what Sandra was saying, I just think that's such a good point. Like, if you're in an upset right now, you're attached to something, right? So like this morning, okay, my son wakes up, cranky, he's tired, doesn't want to get dressed, doesn't want to brush his teeth, doesn't want to eat, moving like the slowest human being on the planet. Why am I upset? Because I'm attached to him going to school, right? If I removed that attachment, if I was just committed to my son having a brilliant day, right, none of that stuff would upset me. You guys get that? Like, anytime you find yourself in an upset, you can look to see, hey, what am I attached to at this moment? And if you have the willingness to let that attachment go, you're peaceful. You get joy back. You get freedom back. My son started playing soccer. I'm very competitive. I like to win at things. I went go-karting today. I was in a go-kart for the first time in my life at these speeds, and I was still racing people who are coming there to practice and have been doing this for years. Why? Because I'm competitive. But I watch my son, and my son is literally on a soccer field, like counting butterflies and petting grass. And I'm doing everything in my power not to scream at him and be like, go get the ball, this and that. But I realized that's my attachment to him performing a certain way on the field. But in reality, I'm just committed to him being outside and running around and having a good time. So if I'm committed to that, I don't give a shit if he's counting butterflies and petting grass, right? Like, he's having a good time. So just you can really map this out on any single moment of your life, and way to do that, Sandra.
Yeah. So how many of you guys want some kind of result in your life? Again, I think like health and business and relationships, those are good places. Usually people are dealing with something.
By the way, Joanne asked a really, really good question in here.
I may have missed it. Go for it.
So Joanne's saying, so I've followed the teachings of Abraham, so have we. Mm-hmm. They talk a lot about expectation and the law of the attraction, that if you expect something to come and meet the frequency of it, you will get it. So how do you do that and not be attached at the same time? Super great question.
You want to field?
Sure. So what Abraham Hicks talks about all the time, and they actually talk about attachment versus commitment. I couldn't tell you in which one of the series, but what they talk about is creating an emotional connection to that which you want to occur. So being in the feeling of you already having gotten that which you want. Yes? They're also very, very clear about the fact that that which you want is not always that which you need. And on the way to getting that which you want, you might experience things that you didn't really want, but are exactly what you need. Right? And so, Joanne, what you got to get is, and this is how this ties in exactly the same. What you want to understand is that where most people derail themselves is like they'll ask for more money or more love or any of that stuff. And I haven't met many people where they're like, I want $1 million, and $1 million, some guy comes knocking on the door and is like, here's $1 million. Because the reason you don't have $1 million is because you don't have yet the emotional intelligence. You don't have yet the being of the brain. Like, you don't have the ability to handle $1 million. That is why it is not in your life. Okay? So what most people get upset about is that when they ask for $1 million and the universe sends them opportunities to have more integrity in their finances.
The experience that you need in order to grow as a person who can even create that kind of circumstance in your life, because you're always at the source of the creation, right? This is all coming from you. But like Elon said, it's like when we set expectations, we say, I know what I want. And the universe is like, I'll give you what you need because you have no idea. Again, it's like, it's going to come how it's going to come.
Yeah. And the issue, and they talk about this as well, is like when that thing shows up, if you get derailed, if you let your emotion go, oh, boo, I asked for this, you didn't give me this, I don't want that. If you go in that direction, you've kiboshed the whole thing, right? Because an expectation unmet leads to upset. So what Abraham Hicks is always talking about is aligning all parts of you, the subconscious, conscious, emotion, everything, to you already having gotten that.
And I would say a positive connection to that, right?
Yeah.
So if you're setting expectation, you're trying to align your body's frequency to feeling a positive emotion towards money, towards wealth, abundance, etc., and you're attached to it, guess what's showing up? Negativity, doubt, right? All that stuff, and it's pulling you further away from that.
Exactly. And so what this does, Joanne, is it actually keeps you aligned with the core want and desire. Okay? And as all this stuff is happening, the less attachment you have to these quote unquote negative experiences or I don't want that, right? You allow the experience to pass through you because there's no attachment to, no, but it's supposed to be this way. No, he was supposed to be brown hair, not blonde. No, it was supposed to be blue Ferrari, not a red Ferrari. Like, seriously? Right? And the more you allow for this stuff to pass through you, the less upset you get by it, the more you consistently stay in that emotional state, the faster that thing which you want is magnetized to you.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Like when you're in flow, and I think everyone here has felt it. Like, have you ever had those moments in life where it could be a day or two, a week, a month, whatever, where it's like shit is just working? It's like it almost feels effortless. That's the flow. And the second you argue with how the world is occurring to you, you've knocked yourself off the out of flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, attachments lets you see where you're not surrendering to what's so, right? Life is whole, perfect, and complete. Always. Even the challenges. Like some person, a circumstance comes to them, they see challenge. Another person sees opportunity. Who's right? Right? And they're both there, arising together at the same time. It's your reaction, your response, your conversation about what's happening, the things you complain about or the things you share about that determine on which side of that coin you're operating. And ultimately, neither one is wrong. technically you're both right about what's happening, but one person is empowered and taking action, right? And the other person's completely disempowered and taking action. Now, do you think a person who's empowered has a context for life that empowers them and they're taking action, while the other person's just sitting around thinking about why life is so bad? Who's going to get to the end game faster, right? Our work is about all these, like, you would call them spiritual concepts, personal development concepts, because when you're willing to always be in an empowering context, you're taking a lot more action. That means you're more productive. That means the way that you're being is healthier about yourself, right? Who wants to be around, or who's even operational when all you're doing is making yourself wrong all the time because life isn't exactly the way that you think that it should, or that you think that, like, there's something wrong with you, or that you're not smart enough, right? All this stuff is learned from the things that we got attached to. You're attached to an A, you get the wrong answer. Oh, I must not be good enough, right? You're attached to having a lot of money or some stuff in your life. None of that stuff is there. You're constantly too stupid to figure out how to get that stuff done. As a person who has the experience of life and it looks at every circumstance coming at them as, I'm dumb, does that person get ahead? Or does the person that says, you know what, I got to work harder? Or, wow, look what this amazing challenge that came into my life. Like, this is going to teach me how to get to where I want to get to. Which person's going to get there faster, right? And this is what we're looking for. It's always about your choice in the point of view and context to which you take in life. That point of view is going to give you access to the way that you're being. That being is going to give you access to the actions you're going to take in life. Those actions are going to give you results in life. More results you get, the more you believe in yourself, the more you're going to start increasing the way that you're being, your frequency, what you attract to yourself, the relationships, all that stuff. And over time, as you continue to apply this very simple principle, you will find it will absolutely transform your life. So a great exercise to take on if you wake up in the morning or at night, if you find that you're upset throughout the days, is complete the things that got you upset. And you'll find every single time, that it was some attachment in that moment and you got defensive about it, right? Or you got positional about what you're attached to. And then that created negativity in that relationship, where you were trying to control and manipulate them and you made them feel like something is wrong with them, right? And it just creates a lot of breakdowns in life. And it really is just as simple as that. So what's really important here, guys, is to look at what is it that you're really committed to? What a great question to ask yourself. What am I really committed to? So I'll tell you, like, simple commitments Elon and I have is leave everybody and every conversation we have with them better than we found them. Okay? That's a commitment. We stand by that. And I'm not saying, again, that every time we interact with somebody, it's perfect or that there's no upset or anything like that. But I could tell you when there's an upset, I get conscious. I've done that commitment so many times. I get conscious. Even if I think I'm right or I'm positional, it doesn't matter to me. I think, well, my commitment is to leave this person better than I found them. If I get defensive or I start, like, trying to control them to see my point of view, whatever, is that commitment being fulfilled? No. And that commitment's really, really important to me. So your commitment might be to yourself. It might be to a workplace or your business. It might be to your spouse, like having, like, the most beautiful, delicious, amazing relationship, right? Every time you're attached that your spouse has to be this perfect human being, or that they're supposed to throw out the trash and they haven't, and you get upset and spew venom at them, is there love in that relationship, right? And that's the stuff you got to start calling yourselves out on and say, you have to have integrity around the things that you're committed to. And a commitment sets no expectation. And you let it arise however it's going to arise in this field. Okay? So let's take this concept. Are you guys tracking me? I just want to make sure we're tracking this conversation. For those of you guys who are here, are you tracking this? Is it making sense? Can you see circumstances in your life where this is happening right now? Awesome. And do you see how if you sat there and honestly, you just took a piece of paper and you write down, what am I attached to? That it would give you clarity, right? Around what's not working in there. And then look on the other side, like, what am I actually committed to in this circumstance or in this relationship or around my health? And, like, write that out for yourself. You're going to be like, whoa, I have not been living in reality here. Because you're creating stories around that attachment. And I assert it's not a new story. You've probably been running that story for, God only knows, 10, 20, 30 years, some of you guys. And it's in the way of you having what you really want. So another way to look at this stuff is when it comes to making powerful choices in life. Okay? I know very few people who are good at making choices. In fact, most people I've ever coached don't even know what a choice is. They know the word, they don't actually know what it means, okay? Most of us are making decisions. What that means is we have something we're attached to, expectations not met, we get upset. The circumstance, my cat's about to vomit on the floor.
Is he really?
Yeah. Can you hear him coughing like an old man behind me?
No.
Okay. But he is. So
Hairball.
That'll be okay. Yeah, I let him outside to eat grass, so now it's cough time. Right? So you're attached to something, and now the circumstance is not the way that you want it to be. So you decide something about yourself or about that person or about the way that it is. Now, I told you guys, we study language and its effect on human beings. And the word decide, the suffix C-I-D-E, right, shares its lineage with words like homicide, genocide, suicide, pesticide. So what does side tell you as a suffix? It tells you it literally means to kill off. And in the world, in the realm of possibility, what's possible for you to decide means to kill off what's possible for you. It means that every time you decide how they are, you're saying, I'm going to put you into this box, right? I'm going to sentence you. This is how my mom is. This is how my son is. And you decide something about them. And what you do is you kill off any other possibility that they can be. And that becomes the context through which you communicate with them. How does that go? How does it go? How does it go when you decide things about yourself? How does it go when you decide about your capabilities as a business person, or about what's possible for you around your health? And you decide, oh, it's that way. I'm a sick person, right? How many of us say like, yeah, you know, patience. Yeah, that doesn't run in my family. Everybody's impatient in my family. We're all hot-blooded. How many of you guys are like, yeah, you know, yeah, anxiety just runs in my family? And while there's scientific evidence for that, really where it's coming from, or at least where you want to consider that's coming from, it's just a conversation inside your family. And you're enrolled in it. You decided that that was true. And you live your life as if that's true. Now when a difficult situation comes up, you've already programmed in, well, I just get anxious. That's not possible for me. Forgetting that you're just this being of infinite possibility. So here comes this like opportunity your way, or an opportunity for a relationship, or you really want to start going to the gym, or you want to start quitting cigarettes, stuff like that, right? And it occurs for you, like, there's 3 places you could usually be about anything. So you could be like, I'm a yes, yep, I'm absolutely going to do that. You could say, well, nah, I'm not going to do that, and that's fine, right? If you know that you're a no, that's fine also. No big deal. But the place where people really lose out on what's possible in their life is when they get into the circumstance around, I want to do that, but. Okay, like I want to do this, but, well, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have the right resources. Nah, I'm just not smart enough. I'm just not smart enough. All that stuff, right? And again, I assert that whatever's coming after that but is something that you've been attached to. Most of you guys, again, for a really long period of time, probably years or decades that's been going on, and it's been running the show. And if we inquired with you as to why you don't have the life that you really want, you would tell me, well, I could have it, but X, Y, and Z. And I'm telling you that the lineage of that but, the genealogy of that thing, comes back to something that you got attached and upset about. And you started believing that thing a long time ago. And part of the design of having a belief is starting to collect evidence to make it true. Then we meet people, we become part of organizations and groups, all that have a similar belief, so that you can create more evidence for that being true. And this is what stops you from having what you really want in life. And you don't take actions consistent with the future that you say that you want, because you're attached to the way that it's going to look when you get there. And should it not look that way, it's just going to create more upset for you. So you go, you know what, then I'm not even going to do it at all. How many of you guys can relate to what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Sandra just asked a really good question in case people aren't reading. She's asking, can you do that for each part of my life and just write down on a separate piece of paper what I'm attached to which I replied, that's the best. Because what happens is, like, the stuff that's set up here, the stuff that you hear your monkey brain talk about all the time, has a lot of effect on you. So as a human being, we are very, very susceptible because we think that what we think about is us. We think that we're doing the thinking. But if you ever think about it, how could you be doing the thinking and listening to it at the same time?
You're observing your thoughts more than you are your thoughts.
Right? And if that's the case, what happens when stuff is up here, it's generally much bigger and has a lot more impact because it's a make-believe world. It's like a movie up there. The second you write stuff down, you'll notice that once you see it written on paper, it has way less of an impact on you. And once you see the stuff that you've bought into on paper, the next time you hear it, it will have way less impact on you. In fact, sometimes you'll even be able to laugh at it, at the absurdity of it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring awareness to all of these ways that this thing just runs on autopilot.
Most of us have these stories that we've been telling people for a long time. And we complain about these things a lot. And we train everybody in our life to just go, okay, yep, agreed, I agree. Because they don't even know what to do anymore. We've done a really effective exercise with people where you take trauma, like a very traumatic situation, and you write it down and all your details, and oh my God, they did this to me, and they kicked me, and they stole money from me, and all this kind of stuff, right? And you just really get into all the details, all the reasons, no. And we're telling you, if you read it over and over and over again, it starts to lose its power. Because what you find is you start reading like you read a story in the book. It starts interacting with a different part of the brain. Mostly we don't do that though. We mull it over in our thoughts. And as I started with this webinar or said a while ago, the design of thinking is a recall function. So now you have upset in your life and now you're using your past to justify why it's okay that you're stuck in this upset about it. And it seems like, and it feels like other upsets that you've had before. And now your brain starts making all the wiring together as to why this is stuff like it's happened before. And here's the worst part about the whole thing. Your brain is not circumstantially programmed. It doesn't care that you're upset. So the brain being upset is whole, perfect, and complete. It doesn't care that you're angry. It doesn't care that you're depressed. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. You care about that stuff. Your brain cares about one thing, not about my finger. It cares about one thing.
One thing.
I love that thing, right? In City Slickers, he gives it the finger.
Yeah.
What's that one thing? You know, it cares about one thing, and it truly cares about your survival. Now, I know your brain's doing a good job. Why? Because you're on this freaking webinar. You made it so far. Most of you guys probably have amazing lives. Probably focus on some things that aren't working here and there, but for the most part, you probably have an amazing life. Right? But your brain cares about survival. So should you get through some bad circumstances in your life, as long as the brain programs in, we survived it, guess what the brain is going to do? It's going to program you to consciously and subconsciously go put yourself back in that situation and do that thing again, because now it's predictable that you'll survive it. I've asserted for years that most people that talk about being happy are mistaking happiness for being comfortable. They really just want comfort. They want predictability, because predictability equals safety. And even if you're stuck in an abusive relationship, or whether it's verbally or physical, and if you are in that situation, I'm sorry that's happening. Number one. Number two, if your loop is like, okay, well, we argue, right? And then we get into like some altercation. We don't talk for a week. After that, everything calms down. We have this conversation. We feel really cathartic. Best sex of our lives happen right after that. And then, and then the timer goes off again. Now you reset the timer, 2 weeks. And it's like, you could see that stuff from a mile away coming. That's just part of your identity at work. It's programmed that in. That's why people can't leave really painful relationships for them, because it's predictable. The outcome's predictable. And that predictability to the brain is comfort. Safety happens in there, even if they're really not safe at all. Right? And this is what we're all doing. And again, it's all stymied from your attachments and the expectations that you set and all these types of things. So we want you guys to take some time at the end of this webinar for whatever area of life you feel like is the most important for you to make an impact in right now, where you could have an empowering context versus a disempowering context. And the attachment and giving that up is going to give you access to some new way that you could be. That new way that you could be is what you're committed to. All right, like all this time, I've been attached to men showing up a certain way. They have to be tall, dark, and handsome. I don't even give anybody else a chance, right? And what you might be committed to is just like partnership and love. Inside the world of partnership and love, does it really matter who the hell shows up as long as the commitment is being fulfilled for partnership and love, right? And that's the kind of stuff that we're looking for. It's like, what really are you committed to? And are you willing to hold integrity and space around that commitment until the world provides it to you? Now, here's the kicker. The world is not going to give you what you want. The universe is not going to give you what you want. God will not give you what you want. It'll give you what you need. It'll give you what you need. The circumstance you need, the lesson you need to learn in order to fulfill on your commitment. And it's going to look like that every single time. So if you can give up this image in your brain that you think that it has to show up as, and you're just open to possibility, it arising however it's going to arise, you are going to start seeing opportunity everywhere in your life. So instead of figuring out things, which is what people say a lot, I'm going to figure this out. If you're using the language figuring it out, I know you're going into your thinking to try to solve an answer. Again, validate through your own experience when you really want to get something. For those of you guys that are dealing with these things I'm talking about and you've tried to figure it out, how is that going? Have you had like epiphanies and breakthrough moments where like every second it's like, woohoo! Damn, my life is good. I assert probably not, right? It's like you're mulling it over. You're doing the same shit over and over again. How you know you're doing it over and over again? You think to yourself, well, I got to do more. I got to do better. I got to do different. And when that happens, you get more, better, different of the same results. It's like walking down the same road and expecting a new building to be there. The same building's going to be down that road over and over again. It ain't going to change. Unless you walk down a different road, you're not going to see a different building. But most of you guys do that, right? So I want to offer to you how insight, eureka, possibility enters your life. Most people can relate to what I'm about to tell you. If you've ever been driving down a highway, I imagine everybody has, it's 21st century, right? And you're driving in the car, you're a passenger, and you see a car next to you. I love cars. Elon loves cars, so we always use car analogies. You see a car next to you, and you're like, man, I never noticed that car before. That's a sexy car. Next time I get a car, you think to yourself, well, that's a sexy car, or you think to yourself, yeah, I got to get a car soon. I'd love to get that one right there, right? You go to bed at night. You wake up the next morning, what happens? Isn't that car like all over the road, like everywhere? Suddenly that car was like nowhere, now it's everywhere. Like boom, just like that. True or true? Or true or false? I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about? They all fell asleep. We must not be entertaining enough today. Okay, cool. I imagine you can relate to that. I've given that example to a lot of people. Most people can relate. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. So what happened there, right? Like consider what happened there. Did everyone actually go out overnight and buy that car? Probably not. Although that'd be really cool if like you had that much power, right? You just look at something, the whole world buys shit. You know, what happened is you increased your awareness over something in the universe. And then what happens? It appears as if it's now everywhere, almost as if the opportunity to align yourself to it is all around you. So whatever it is that you're committed to is a lot like increasing your awareness around that car. You're saying, this is the view that I want in life, and I'm open to it and looking however it's going to look. And then here's what's going to end up happening, or this is what usually happens. You'll be reading a book, or you'll be talking to somebody, or you'll overhear a conversation, or listen to a song, or be watching a movie, or something that comes into your space, and somebody will say something. And it'll be this like line. But to you, it's not just a line, it like the bell drops. It's like, and like in that moment, the experience you're looking for will be really, really clear to you suddenly. And it's just about being open to it. And this happens to Elon and I all the time because we're constantly in a state of inquiry around things and creating new commitments and problems that we really want to work on, not problems that are just shitty to work on. Big problems that are worth giving your life over to, things that you really want to get committed to because you're like, damn, I could freaking give my life over to that every single day. That gives me juice. And I assert that everybody has that passion for something on this planet, whether it's teaching people how to play guitar, or spending time with people in hospice care, or feeding the homeless, or global transformation, whatever your hopes are about this world. That's something that I'm committed to working on with people to find what that passion is. But if your whole life is about attachments, you're not getting anywhere close to that passion. Okay? Or anything else you want to say about this today?
No, I thought that was brilliant.
Awesome. Guys, so does that give you guys access to something? Just checking in. And you guys also take on to doing an exercise today about an area of life that is not at a 10 for you right now, where you really don't have what you want. Awesome. Very cool. So here's the last thing. I told you guys I would let you know about our live event. So here's where you can get information about it. I actually don't think I changed this right now, so I just want to be clear about one thing. So we have an event coming up in San Diego on November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We are personally inviting you to come join us. We would absolutely love to have you there. This event is 2.5 days long. And I could tell you a webinar and getting a distinction from Elon and I and like getting some openings. These webinars are all about creating openings for something, right? About giving you space in your life so you can start playing with and creating something new. But I could tell you, we just came back from an event in Vegas. If we're with you live in a room, we could look in your eyes, we could see your body language, we could have a conversation with you. The impact that we can make with you in a very short period of time is beyond your wildest dreams. We are extremely good at what we do. And what we are really good at is transformation. And again, this is something we can do amazing work with you. You'd be shocked at how much progress you can make in 2.5 to 3 days of just doing these type of exercises. And our education is not about giving you more information so that you're overwhelmed and confused and frustrated. We create experiences for you so that you can anchor these things in. We're looking for constantly how to create different balance in different areas of your life. And you know, for all you guys who've ridden a bike and have gained balance, you know that there's not enough information in this world that can teach you how to ride a bike if you've never been on one. You need to have experience in order to create balance. And once that balance is felt by the body, it cannot be forgotten. And our experiences that we do with people, that's what we do. We give people balance in different areas of life, and they cannot be forgotten. These things will naturally work on you. They will naturally pull you towards action, towards being the way that you want to be, towards the results that you want to have. It's how we've created multiple 7-figure businesses. It's how we're connected with some incredible people all over the planet. While we really do live, you know, not to be cocky, extraordinary lives that we get to really create and play in life in the way that we want to, because we've applied these principles over a period of time. And we've learned how they operate and function for people. And that's what this event is all about. So if you want to learn about our event, go to youwillhaveitall.com/live. Some of you guys on here already have tickets, and we can't wait to invite you there. Right now, you know, just because it's up here and I forgot to take it down, even if you register today, although this is already done for sure, so that I can't promise you, I'm sorry. But even if you sign up today, we will still give you our mindfulness course. And I'm sorry, I can't do this either. This is closed out. So my fault, guys, for not getting this handled before this webinar. Okay? The price
we'll pretend they didn't see it.
Yeah, pretend you guys didn't see it. I apologize. That should not be there. So we had an open window. If you bought a ticket up until September 15th, all that stuff was included. That window is now closed. So between today and October 15th, this is the price to reserve your seat ticket. We were giving full discounts up until the 15th. That's no longer available, but we still are giving 50% discounts on the ticket. So if you purchase a ticket, for one, it's $297. If you purchase it for two, it's $500. You have to attend the event, and we will deposit back your ticket price, 50% of that price, okay? So basically half off for you today, okay? And that means you have to buy your ticket before October 15th. You know, if you guys are excited about it, we assert take action today, even if you're not exactly sure how everything else is going to work out. Just be a yes, right? We talked about yes buts. Like if something like that is coming up for you, but you really do want to be at the event, this is your opportunity to deal with that but in a new way. I can't tell you how many times Elon and I have wanted to do things and we didn't. And then we started playing with this thing to experiment with what would happen if we just did what we wanted to do. We didn't use that reason, that but, that attachment, that excuse to not do the things that we wanted to do. And our lives expanded substantially. So
I mean, this just happened with one of our clients. Or one of our clients was discussing like he can't come, he can't do this, he can't do that, and we're like, here, we're gonna play, and for the next 30 days, here's what you want. He manifested from that a $5,000 a month client plus 10 more clients that want to do the same type of work, all for $5,000. So literally in the span of under 30 days, he could potentially bring in somewhere in the vicinity of $50,000.
Yeah. And this is really what's possible when we just get out of our own way, when we just give up all the attachment, when we think that we know, right? And that but has probably been running your life for a long time. And that's just to consider, right? And look if that would make a difference for you. We'd love to have you there. And if it's a matter of figuring out how to get there, all that other stuff, we promise you, if you could think about like throwing a hat over a wall, most people like won't throw the hat over until they figured it all out. But it's in the action of throwing it over the wall that you force yourself to get into your genius, to figure it out. Humans are at their best when they have to figure stuff out. It's always been that way. Look throughout our entire history. When we got to, we got to. Otherwise, we procrastinate. We talked about procrastination in a previous seminar, right, and how to overcome it. So this is your opportunity to do something that can truly make a difference in your life. And we promise if you spend 2.5 days with us, we damn guarantee that you will not walk out of there the same human being that you walked in. And there's going to be a whole new future that's going to open up to you as a function of participating in our seminar, okay? For those of you guys who are no, I don't want to come, that's cool, no worries. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. And for those of you guys who are like, no, because the dates don't work for me or something like that, here's the other option for you, okay? So if you absolutely know that you can't make it to San Diego for whatever reason, you just have like a previous commitment or whatever it might be, we do have online group coaching, okay? We meet for about 5 hours every month. It's 2.5 hour sessions, and it's bi-weekly. If you just go to the homepage, youwillhaveitall.com. We have a training there about fear. You know, if you guys know that that's something you want to do and participate with us, we have a group of approximately, I think we're like 16 to 20 people in there right now that we meet every other week. And we have room for a few more, okay? So it's $197 a month. If you do the math on that for coaching, it's like ridiculously cheap, right? And this date is wrong too. Can you actually tell me when the next coaching session would be?
Yes. Second.
Over something, I'm sure, right? And on top of that, for your first month, we're giving you $100 off. And I'll be the first to tell you, even at $97, which is literally giving it away, you know, the reason we can make it cheaper is you're leveraging the power of group. Even if in that first month you feel like you're not getting value from participating, let us know. We'll give you a full refund. You should not do anything, like you should never have to pay for stuff that is not valuable for you. I will tell you that we have yet to ask anybody's yet to ask for a refund, and the people in there are absolutely kicking ass and transforming their lives in ways that are unimaginable to them. We did a training yesterday that was like mind-bending how transformational it was. 3 people completely altered their futures just yesterday. So just to understand what you get with this, again, we will give you the mindfulness program with this too, again, because I just put that up, so we'll throw it in there. And number 2 is we already have 25 recorded sessions in there. So you'll get the home course, which we actually recommend that you go through immediately the moment you get it. And then we actually advise you to watch at least the first 7 trainings in there because there are super important distinctions that we'll keep using. But you have 25 trainings. That's like, I don't know, 55, 60 hours worth of training in there right now of absolutely game-changing, ridiculous information. So we, of course, want you at the live event. I would say that's priority. Come to that. That will blow up your life in ways you cannot imagine. Again, if you absolutely know you can't, this is a great secondary option.
By the way, that's going to be October 13th, which is actually going to be a Thursday. I just realized Yom Kippur was that Wednesday.
Oh, so we moved things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so October 13th will be our next meeting. We just had one yesterday. Okay? And that's it. So if you guys have any questions right now, please let us know. Awesome. Some of you guys are excited about coming. And by the way, if you need information about the live event, Jordan is the best person to ask. She's our ops manager. She's a logistics freaking genius. So if it's about figuring out logistics, she's your woman right there. I would write her name down because a lot of people think it's Jordan, and then they misspell it and don't get her. And if you just have any questions for us, support@SatoriPrime.com. That means our entire team gets the questions. Somebody will get back to you immediately. We also offer one-on-one coaching. If you feel like you're in that boat, please inquire about that as well, okay? All right, guys. So thank you so much for coming. Let me just drop the link in here real quick so you can easily click on it. .com/live. All the info, again, is on that page for the event. For those of you guys that are coming, we are so excited to have you. In Vegas this last week just pumped us up like crazy for our own event. So we can't wait to be with you and share the location with you and everything that we're creating around this event. And, you know, as we grow, we just have so much more to share with you guys about different ways to view things and experiences you can have that will absolutely impact the quality of your life and those around you. All right, guys, thank you so much. We will see you next week. Okay?
Love you all.
Love you guys. Take care.